Chosen one, listen carefully. I carry an urgent message today, and I say this without hesitation. This message is not for everyone. If you are not walking the divine path of God, if you are not seeking truth with a sincere heart, you may feel uncomfortable here, and that is fine. This message is reserved only for God's chosen ones. Those who are truly called will feel drawn to stay. If you are watching this right now, understand this clearly. It is not by accident. This message reached you at the exact moment your spirit was ready to receive it. Heaven does not miss timing. God does not misplace his messages. Today I will speak about a sacred truth. Only the 144,000 can attain a certain spiritual power, and only they can sing a song no one else can learn. This is not about pride. This is about purpose. This is about obedience. And this is about why your life has unfolded the way it has. If you stay until the end, you will understand your struggles differently. You will feel lighter, clearer, stronger in your calling. Before we continue, chosen ones, give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, and share this message with other chosen ones who need confirmation today. And comment 777 to declare that you are aligned with God's divine calling and ready to receive this message.
Who the 144,000 truly are, clearing confusion and fear. Chosen one, I want you to slow down your mind for a moment. Take a breath. Because before we go any further, I must clear the confusion, fear, and false teachings that surround the number 144,000. Many have spoken about it without understanding. Many have used it to control, to intimidate, or to elevate themselves. But I speak to you today with clarity, not fear. With truth, not exaggeration. The 144,000 were never meant to create panic in God's people. They were never meant to divide believers or make you question your worth. If any teaching made you feel small, anxious, or unworthy, understand this clearly. It did not come from God. God does not speak through fear. He speaks through peace, order, and truth. The 144,000 is not a random number, and it is not about favoritism. It is not about bloodline, nationality, denomination, or public status. God has never worked that way. From the beginning, he has always chosen by the heart, by obedience, by faithfulness when no one was watching. The 144,000 represent a spiritual state, not a social category. They are those who allowed God to refine them fully. People who did not quit when the process became uncomfortable. People who stayed obedient even when it cost them relationships, comfort, and approval. And this is important, so listen carefully. Being called does not mean being perfect. It means being willing. Willing to be corrected, willing to be shaped, willing to surrender control when your ego wanted to fight back. The chosen ones are not the loudest in the room. Most of the time they are the quiet ones. The observers, the ones who feel deeply but speak carefully. Many of you listening have always felt different. You tried to fit in, but something in you never fully belonged. You could enjoy people, but you never needed the crowd. You could succeed, but success alone never satisfied your soul. That was not confusion, that was calling. From a young age you sensed things others missed. You felt heaviness in places that looked joyful. You saw truth behind smiles, and because of that, life felt heavier for you. You carried emotional weight that others didn't even notice. That wasn't weakness. That was spiritual sensitivity. The 144,000 are those who could not numb themselves to the world. You tried. You distracted yourself. You stayed busy. But eventually, God pulled you back into silence. Because your spirit was never designed to live shallow. Now let me correct another misunderstanding. The 144,000 are not chosen because they are better than others. They are chosen because they were willing to be emptied. God does not pour into vessels that refuse to be cleaned. And cleaning hurts. Stripping hurts. Isolation hurts. That is why many walk away before the process is complete. If you are listening and remembering seasons where everything fell apart without explanation, this is for you. Relationships ended, plans collapsed, doors closed without warning, and you kept asking God, "What did I do wrong?" But heaven was silent. That silence was not punishment. It was preparation. You were being refined without distraction. When God prepares someone for deep spiritual responsibility, He removes noise first. He separates you from people who would drain you. He breaks attachments that would slow you down later. Not because they were evil, but because they were not aligned with where you were going. The 144,000 are described as those who remained faithful. That faithfulness was not loud worship or public declarations. It was private obedience. Saying no when no one would know. Staying honest when lying would have been easier. Staying humble when pride was justified. Many of you have felt overlooked, underappreciated, misunderstood. People assumed you were weak because you didn't fight back. They assumed you lacked confidence because you didn't boast. But God saw something else. He saw discipline, He saw restraint, He saw strength under control. Let me speak directly to the fear some of you carry. You have wondered, am I worthy? Did I miss it? Did I fail God? Listen carefully. If God was done with you, you would not be hearing this message. Conviction draws you closer. Condemnation pushes you away. God does not abandon His chosen ones mid-process. The very fact that you still seek God, still care about truth, still desire alignment, that is evidence. Dead spirits don't ask questions. Hardened hearts don't feel conviction. The chosen ones are the ones who cannot walk away, even when they are tired. And understand this, not everyone who wants to be chosen is chosen, and not everyone who is chosen wants to be. Many of you would have preferred a normal life, a quieter path, less responsibility. But your spirit could not ignore the call. The 144,000 are those who learned obedience in hidden seasons. They were trained when no one applauded. They were faithful when nothing made sense. And over time, something changed inside them. They stopped chasing validation. They stopped explaining themselves. They stopped needing permission to obey God. This is why you feel different now. You don't react the way you used to. Things that once upset you no longer control you. You feel more still, even when life is chaotic. That is not emotional numbness. That is spiritual maturity. Let me say this with authority. If you have walked through deep pain and came out with compassion instead of bitterness, you are being refined. If you were betrayed but did not become cruel, you are being refined. If life tried to harden you but your heart stayed soft toward God, you are being refined. The 144,000 are not chosen overnight. They are shaped over time, slowly, carefully, with precision. God does not rush this work, because what He is preparing you for carries weight. So release the fear, release comparison, release the idea that this calling is about status. It is not. It is about service, responsibility, spiritual authority rooted in humility. You were not overlooked. You were hidden. You were not delayed. You were being prepared, and you were never disqualified. You were being refined. And now that the foundation is clear, we can go deeper. Because what truly sets the 144,000 apart is not the number itself. It is the song they carry. A song no one else can sing. The song no one else can sing. Spiritual meaning and power. Chosen one, now we step into something sacred. This is where many teachings stop short, because this truth cannot be rushed. The song spoken of is not music as the world understands it. It is not sound created by instruments or voices trained by men. This song is spiritual. It is living, and it is carried, not performed. The reason only the 144,000 can sing this song is because it cannot be learned. It cannot be copied. It cannot be rehearsed. This song is the sum of a life lived in alignment with God. It is formed slowly, through obedience, suffering, restraint, faith, and endurance. Every tear you cried when no one saw added a note. Every moment you chose faith over fear added harmony. Every time you stayed silent instead of defending yourself added depth. You see, heaven does not respond to noise. Heaven responds to frequency. And this song is a frequency that only a refined spirit can carry. Many people want spiritual power. Few want spiritual discipline. Many want God's promises. Few want God's process. The song is the evidence that you endured the process without losing your soul. Let me speak plainly. Your life has not been easy because it could not be. If you had received comfort too early, it would have weakened your discernment. If you had been celebrated too soon, it would have fed your ego. If everything had worked out quickly, you would have mistaken blessing for calling. God needed your spirit strong, not distracted, grounded, not inflated. So he allowed pressure, because pressure reveals what cannot be taught. This song is written in places no one applauded you, in moments when you obeyed God quietly while others chased attention, in seasons when you prayed with tears instead of confidence, in times when you felt abandoned but still refused to curse God. The world does not understand this song because the world values results, not refinement. The world celebrates visibility. God celebrates faithfulness. You did not realize it at the time, but every trial was shaping your spiritual voice, not your physical voice, your spiritual voice. The way your presence speaks without words, the way peace follows you into rooms that once felt heavy, the way truth comes out of your mouth without force. That is the song, and this is why not everyone recognizes it. Some people are uncomfortable around you without knowing why. Others feel exposed, even when you say nothing. That is not arrogance on your part. That is resonance. Your spirit carries truth, and truth disturbs what is hidden. This song does not shout, it does not compete, it does not argue. It simply is. And when it is released, it brings alignment or resistance, nothing neutral. Many of you tried to explain yourselves before. You tried to make people understand your heart. But over time, God taught you something. Silence is stronger than explanation. Presence is stronger than persuasion. And obedience is stronger than argument. This song was never meant to be defended. It was meant to be lived. Let me say something important. This song is not about perfection. It is about authenticity. God does not need flawless vessels. He needs honest ones. The song includes your mistakes, your repentance, your growth. Heaven does not erase your past. It redeems it. That is why shame could never stick to you permanently. You felt it, but it didn't own you. Guilt visited, but it didn't stay. Because your spirit kept turning back to God, again and again. That return is part of the song. Some of you wondered why God allowed you to see so much, feel so much, and carry so much. It's because this song requires depth. Shallow waters cannot carry heavy sound. Only deep spirits can hold this frequency. You were trained to listen more than speak, to discern rather than react, to pray rather than panic. That training shaped the tone of your song. This is also why shortcuts never worked for you. You tried to take easier paths. You tried to settle. But something always pulled you back. That was not sabotage. That was alignment. The song is not for entertainment. It is for transformation. When it is released in the right time, it brings conviction without condemnation. It awakens without force. It heals without explanation. And here is the part many miss. You are already singing it, not audibly, spiritually, through how you live, through how you respond, through what you refuse to become, even when the world gives you permission. When Scripture says no one else can learn this song, it does not mean others are excluded from God's love. It means this level of spiritual alignment requires a path most are unwilling to walk. It requires dying to ego daily. letting go of control, trusting God when there is no evidence. You have done that more times than you can count. Think back. There were moments you didn't understand anything, yet you still trusted God. Moments you wanted to quit, yet something held you steady. Moments you felt broken, yet you didn't become bitter. That is the song being formed. And let me reassure you, heaven hears it, even when people don't. God is not impressed by performance. He is moved by faithfulness. That is why the enemy tried so hard to silence you, not your voice, but your spirit, through discouragement, through delay, through isolation. Because if you ever fully understood what you carry, you would stop doubting yourself. This song carries authority because it was paid for. It was earned through surrender. It cannot be stolen because it was not given lightly. So if you ever felt like your life didn't make sense compared to others, now you understand. You were not being punished. You were being composed. And the song is not finished yet. Because next, you must understand why God allowed you to be isolated, tested, and broken before He ever allowed you to be seen. And understand this, chosen one. This song was never meant to be rushed. God does not compose in haste. He writes with intention. Every pause in your life was deliberate. Every delay had purpose. There were seasons when nothing moved, when prayers felt unanswered, when silence became your daily companion. But silence was not absence. Silence was instruction. In those quiet moments, God was tuning your spirit, removing dependence on noise, teaching you how to hear Him without external confirmation. That is why today you no longer need constant reassurance. You still appreciate encouragement, but you are no longer dependent on it. Your peace is internal now. That is evidence of maturity. Many people confuse spiritual excitement with spiritual power, but excitement fades. Power remains. The song you carry is steady. It does not rise and fall with circumstances. It is not shaken by opinions. It does not disappear in hardship. That stability is rare, and it was forged, not gifted. You were trained to stand when others collapse emotionally, to stay calm when chaos surrounds you, to respond with wisdom when others react with fear. That is not personality. That is preparation. This song also carries restraint. You know things you do not say. You see patterns you do not expose. You sense motives you do not confront unless God leads you. That restraint protects both you and others. Power without restraint destroys. God will not allow that. And here is something deeply personal. There were moments when you questioned yourself, wondered if you were imagining this calling, wondered if you were simply different for no reason. But every time you tried to walk away from God, something pulled you back. Not fear, love, not obligation. Truth. That pull is part of the song. You were never meant to fit into every space. Some environments would have diluted what you carry. So God moved you, sometimes gently, sometimes forcefully, but always with intention. This song is not loud, but it is unmistakable. It carries peace, authority, and truth without effort. And when the time comes, it will be heard exactly where it is needed. Now let us speak about something many of you still struggle to understand. Why God allowed you to be isolated, tested, and broken before He ever allowed you to be trusted with more. Why you were isolated, tested, and broken first. Chosen one, this is where many hearts finally find peace. Because this question has lived inside you for a long time. Why the isolation? Why the repeated testing? Why the breaking that felt unnecessary, even cruel at times? And why it seemed to happen again and again, just when you thought you were finally standing on solid ground. Let me speak to you plainly, without mystery or fear. God isolates what He intends to protect. He tests what He intends to trust, and He breaks only what He intends to remake with greater strength. Isolation was not rejection, it was removal from contamination. When God calls someone deeply, He cannot allow constant influence from voices that do not understand the assignment. Early exposure to the wrong environment would have distorted your discernment. So, He pulled you back, sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly. People drifted, conversations changed. You felt unseen, unchosen, forgotten. But heaven was very attentive. Isolation is where identity becomes clear. When applause disappears, when distractions fade, when you are left alone with your thoughts and God, masks fall off. That is where you discovered who you really are, not who you perform as, not who people expect, but who you are when nothing is required of you. Many of you learned how to sit with yourself in silence. That is not common. Most people avoid silence because it exposes them, but you stayed, even when it was uncomfortable. That built spiritual stability. Now let us talk about the testing. Tests were not meant to make you fail. They were meant to reveal what still had control over you. Attachment, fear, pride, approval, comfort. God tests gently at first. A small delay, a small disappointment, a small instruction that challenges your comfort. If obedience is easy, the test grows. Not to punish you, but to strengthen your spiritual muscles. Some of you faced repeated tests in the same area. Relationships, trust, waiting, letting go. And you wondered why the lesson felt repetitive. It was not because you were slow, it was because the lesson was foundational. God does not build on unstable ground. Each test refined your response. At first you reacted emotionally, then you reacted thoughtfully. Now you respond spiritually. That progression matters. And yes, there was breaking, not destruction. Breaking of false identity. Breaking of expectations that did not come from God. Breaking of self-reliance disguised as strength. You were strong before, but it was a strength that depended on control. God needed you strong without control, confident without certainty, faithful without explanation. So he allowed what you could not fix. Situations where effort failed, where logic did not work, where prayer felt like your only option left. That breaking taught you surrender. Surrender is not weakness, it is alignment. Some of you lost things you prayed for. Others never received what you expected. And the pain of that disappointment stayed longer than you admit. But over time, something shifted. You stopped demanding outcomes and started trusting God's timing. That shift is rare, and it is powerful. Brokenness taught you compassion. You no longer judge quickly. You listen more. You see pain beneath behavior. That is why people open up to you without knowing why. They feel safe. They feel seen. That did not happen by accident. Isolation taught you discernment. You now sense when something is off, even if it looks good on the surface. You trust that inner check. That wisdom protects you from future damage. Testing taught you endurance. You learned how to keep going without visible reward, to stay faithful without immediate results. That endurance will carry you far beyond temporary success. Breaking taught you humility, not insecurity. Humility. You know your limits. You know your need for God, and you are no longer ashamed of that dependence. Let me say something important. God could not trust you with influence before he healed your need for validation. If he had elevated you too early, rejection would have destroyed you. Praise would have corrupted you. Comparison would have distracted you. So he healed you privately. This is why your journey feels longer than others. This is why your progress feels invisible at times. God was not building speed. He was building depth, and depth lasts. Some of you felt forgotten because your life did not move when others did. But what you did not see was that God was removing weaknesses others never addressed. They will face them later. You faced them early. That is mercy. Now you are steadier, calmer, less reactive. You don't chase what once obsessed you. You don't fear what once controlled you. You don't need to prove what God already knows. That transformation is evidence of preparation. Isolation refined your voice. Testing refined your faith. Breaking refined your heart. And because of that, God can now trust you with more. Not more noise, more responsibility, more impact, more authority rooted in humility. So stop questioning the past. Stop revisiting pain with confusion. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. You were not being delayed. You were being strengthened. You were not being punished. You were being prepared. And now, with that foundation set, you must understand what God is actually preparing you to carry. Because the power ahead requires the stability you now possess. There is another layer to this breaking that few talk about, but you lived it. God also had to break the version of you that tried to save everyone. The one who carried emotional burdens that were never assigned to you. The one who felt responsible for fixing people who refused to change. That weight exhausted you, and God saw it. So he allowed distance, not to harden your heart, but to teach you boundaries. Love without wisdom becomes self-destruction. And you were never meant to destroy yourself in the name of kindness. You learned slowly and painfully that not everyone deserves access to your spirit. Not everyone who needs help is assigned to you. That realization hurt because you care deeply. But it was necessary. God cannot send a drained vessel into battle. This is why you now choose peace over chaos. Why you step back instead of engaging every conflict. Why you no longer explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. That is not arrogance. That is maturity. There were nights you questioned God quietly, not in rebellion, but in exhaustion. You asked him if this path would ever feel lighter, and in his time it did. Not because the challenges disappeared, but because you grew stronger inside. Your breaking also healed your perception of power. You no longer associate power with control, dominance, or recognition. You associate it with stability, clarity, and self-command. That shift is crucial. Power without self-control is dangerous. God does not entrust dangerous power. This is why emotional triggers no longer control you the way they once did. You still feel deeply, but you are no longer ruled by emotion. You observe before you respond. You pray before you act. That discipline protects your calling. Let me speak reassurance into something you still carry quietly. You did not imagine the pain. It was real. The loneliness was real. The confusion was real. God does not minimize what you went through. He redeems it. Every wound became wisdom. Every disappointment became discernment. Every unanswered prayer taught you patience. And now you carry a calm authority that cannot be taught in books or sermons. That authority did not come from knowledge. It came from survival with faith intact. So when you feel different now, understand this. You are not detached. You are centered. You are not distant. You are discerning. You are not cold. You are clear. And clarity is one of the greatest signs that breaking has done its work. Now, with your heart healed and your spirit stabilized, we must speak about the power God is preparing you to carry. Because responsibility is always given to those who can bear it without being corrupted by it. The power you are being prepared to carry. Chosen one, now we speak about power. Not the kind the world chases. Not the kind that demands attention or feeds ego. The power God prepares his chosen ones to carry is quiet, weighty, and deeply disciplined. It does not announce itself. It does not force outcomes. It moves with authority because it is rooted in alignment. Many people misunderstand spiritual power. They imagine signs, visibility, recognition, or influence over others. But God does not begin with outward authority. He begins with self-command. If a person cannot govern their thoughts, emotions, and impulses, they cannot be trusted with influence. That is why your preparation focused so heavily on your inner life. God was not ignoring your external desires. He was strengthening your internal structure. Power rests on stability. Without it, elevation becomes destruction. The power you are being prepared to carry is discernment. You can sense truth without needing proof. You feel when something is off before evidence appears. This protects not only you, but those connected to you. Discernment prevents unnecessary battles. It saves time, energy, and heartache. Another form of this power is restraint. You have learned when to speak and when to remain silent, when to act and when to wait, when to walk away and when to stand firm. Restraint is not weakness, it is mastery. You are also being prepared to carry peace, not passive peace, anchored peace, the kind that remains when circumstances shake others. People will feel calm around you without knowing why. Your presence will steady environments that once felt chaotic. That is not personality, that is spiritual authority. This power also includes the ability to stand alone without fear. You no longer need consensus to obey God. You are comfortable being misunderstood if it means remaining aligned. That confidence did not come from arrogance, it came from repeated testing. God is also preparing you to carry influence without attachment. You will impact others, but you will not control them. You will guide without dominating, teach without manipulating, correct without condemning. That balance is rare. Many people lose themselves when they gain influence. They begin to seek approval again. They soften truth to stay accepted. But your preparation removed that weakness. You no longer need to be liked to be faithful. Let me be clear. This power does not make you superior. It makes you responsible. God does not elevate chosen ones to escape suffering. He elevates them to serve with wisdom. You will notice that your prayers have changed. You ask less for comfort and more for clarity, less for escape and more for strength. That shift reveals readiness. This power also carries weight. You will see things others ignore. You will feel conviction before others feel urgency. That can be heavy. That is why your preparation included solitude. You learned how to carry weight without collapsing under it. And listen carefully. God will not rush your activation. Power revealed too early attracts unnecessary opposition. So he keeps you hidden until your roots are deep enough. When the time comes, you will not need to prove yourself. Your consistency will speak. Your peace will speak. Your obedience will speak. And when challenges arise, you will not panic. You will respond. Because power anchored in God does not tremble under pressure. Now you must understand something important. Not everyone desires this level of alignment, and not everyone is willing to pay the cost. That is why few walk this path fully. So let us speak honestly about why not everyone can access this calling and why you must release the need for universal understanding. There is also a layer of this power that is rarely spoken about, yet you have been trained in it quietly. It is the power to remain unmoved when provoked. In a world driven by reaction, emotional control becomes spiritual authority. God taught you how to pause, how to breathe, how to respond instead of react. That discipline did not come naturally. It was formed through restraint learned in pressure. This is why situations that once overwhelmed you no longer shake you the same way. You still care, but you are no longer consumed. That shift protects your energy and preserves your clarity. Many people burn out because they feel everything but regulate nothing. You were taught regulation through surrender. Another aspect of this power is endurance without bitterness. You endured delays, rejection, and misunderstanding without allowing your heart to harden. That is rare. Bitterness closes spiritual perception. God could not allow that to take root in you. So he healed you slowly, even when you did not realize healing was happening. You also carry the power of timing. You sense when to move and when to wait, when to speak and when to stay quiet. That sensitivity prevents wasted effort. It aligns you with divine order rather than human urgency. This is why impulsive decisions now feel uncomfortable to you. Your spirit resists disorder. God is also preparing you to carry truth without aggression. You can speak honestly without crushing others. You can hold firm boundaries without hostility. That balance took time to develop. Early on, you either stayed silent too long or spoke too sharply. Now, your words are measured. That maturity increases your influence. This power includes the ability to stand in uncertainty without anxiety. You no longer need full answers to remain faithful. You trust the process even when the path is unclear. That trust was built through repeated experiences where God proved himself faithful after long waiting. You may notice that people now seek your advice, even when you do not advertise wisdom. They feel clarity around you. That is not charisma. It is consistency. Your life aligns with your values. That alignment creates credibility. Another responsibility that comes with this power is solitude. Leadership often requires separation. You will still love people deeply, but you will not depend on them emotionally the way you once did. God became your primary source. That shift stabilizes you. This power also carries spiritual weight. You will discern battles others cannot see. You will sense shifts before they manifest physically. That awareness can feel heavy if not managed with prayer and rest. That is why God taught you stillness early. Let me speak reassurance into something you may fear. Carrying power does not mean carrying pressure alone. God will not assign you weight without providing strength. He does not call without equipping. He does not reveal without supporting. And understand this clearly. Your power is not meant to impress. It is meant to restore. It will draw people back to truth, not to you. It will point hearts toward God, not elevate your image. That is why your ego had to be dismantled early. That is why recognition did not come quickly. God protected you from becoming a servant of approval. So if you ever wondered why your path required so much patience, now you see. Power without patience destroys its carrier. You were taught patience so power could rest safely in you. Now with this understanding, there is one more truth you must accept with peace. Not everyone can access this level of alignment, and not everyone is meant to walk beside you on this path. Why not everyone can access this level of alignment? Chosen one, this is where you must release something that has weighed on your heart for a long time. The need to be understood by everyone, the desire for universal agreement, the hope that one day people will finally see you clearly and validate your path. Let me say this gently but firmly. That day is not required for your calling to be fulfilled. Not everyone can access this level of alignment because not everyone is willing to surrender what it costs. Alignment with God is not passive. It demands daily decisions that go against comfort, ego, and convenience. Many people love the idea of closeness with God, but they resist the discipline required to maintain it. They want the reassurance, not the responsibility. The blessing, not the obedience. The promise, not the process. This path requires honesty with oneself, and many avoid that. To be aligned at this level, a person must confront their shadows, their motives, their attachments, their need for control and approval. Most people prefer distraction over self-examination. They stay busy so they don't have to sit with truth. You did not have that luxury. God pulled you into stillness repeatedly until truth became unavoidable. Alignment also requires restraint. The ability to say no when yes would be easier. The ability to walk away when staying would be more comfortable. The ability to obey God even when the outcome is uncertain. Many people fear losing control more than they fear losing alignment. That fear keeps them stuck. Let me speak plainly. Some people want God to bless what they refuse to surrender. They want divine support without divine authority. That is not alignment. That is negotiation. And God does not negotiate truth. This level of alignment also requires accountability, not just to God, but to one's conscience. You learn to live with integrity even when no one was watching. That discipline isolates you because many live by performance rather than conviction. They adjust their values depending on who is present. You cannot do that anymore. Your spirit will not allow it. That makes you uncomfortable to those who live inconsistently. Another reason not everyone can access this path is emotional avoidance. Alignment requires emotional regulation, the ability to feel deeply without being ruled by feelings. Many people confuse emotional expression with authenticity, but alignment requires mastery, not suppression and not indulgence. You learn to feel without reacting, to pause instead of explode, to process rather than project. That emotional maturity took time. Most people avoid that work. Alignment also demands patience, real patience, the kind that waits without resentment. the kind that trusts without visible evidence. Many want immediate results. They rush decisions. They force outcomes. But alignment moves at God's pace, not human urgency. This is why your path feels slow at times. God is not delaying you. He is aligning timing, character, and assignment. Those must meet at the same point. Otherwise, collapse follows elevation. Let me address something sensitive. Some people around you cannot walk with you because they are not willing to grow at the pace your calling requires. That does not make them bad, it makes them different. But difference creates distance. You may have noticed this. Conversations no longer satisfy you. Certain environments drain you. Certain behaviors disturb your peace. That is not judgment. That is alignment protecting itself. When alignment deepens, tolerance for disorder decreases. Not because you become rigid, but because your spirit recognizes what disrupts clarity. You are not rejecting people. You are preserving assignment. Another truth many resist is responsibility. Alignment comes with weight. You see more. You feel more. You are held to a higher standard, not by people, but by God. Many do not want that responsibility. They want freedom without accountability. Alignment does not work that way. This is why some will admire you from a distance but never follow fully. They like the idea of peace, but not the discipline that produced it. They like the wisdom, but not the obedience behind it. You must release the need to pull others into understanding. You are not called to convince. You are called to live in truth. Those meant to understand will recognize alignment without explanation. This path also requires faith that withstands isolation. At times, you will feel alone even in rooms full of people. That solitude sharpens dependence on God. Many avoid this level of faith because it feels vulnerable. You embraced it, even when it was uncomfortable. Alignment requires trust. Trust in God's timing. Trust in His process. Trust when results are invisible. That trust is built, not given. You earned it through endurance. Let me reassure you, you are not ahead of others. You are aligned differently. Comparison distorts calling. Release it. Some will misunderstand you. Some will mislabel you. Some will project onto you. Let them. Alignment is not fragile. It does not need defense. The reason few access this level is simple. It costs too much for those unwilling to let go. Comfort, control, approval, ego. Many choose familiarity over faith. You chose differently, and because of that your path will continue to narrow, not in opportunity, but in distraction. You will feel clearer, lighter, more focused. That clarity is protection. Now, with this understanding, there is one final truth you must hold carefully. Alignment must be maintained. It must be guarded. Because what God has formed in you is valuable, and anything valuable must be protected. So let us speak about how to remain aligned and how to protect the song within you as you move forward. There is one more reason many cannot access this level of alignment, and it is rarely admitted. Alignment requires humility even after growth. Many people grow spiritually, then become rigid. They replace obedience with certainty. They stop listening because they believe they already know. That is dangerous. You were protected from that trap because God kept you teachable. Even after seasons of clarity, you remained open. You questioned yourself, you checked your heart, you asked God to correct you when needed. That humility keeps alignment alive. Alignment is not a destination, it is a posture, and posture must be maintained daily. Some people mistake confidence for alignment. They become loud, defensive, and inflexible. True alignment is calm. It does not argue truth, it lives it. That calm presence unsettles ego-driven systems, which is why some resist you without understanding why. Another reason few walk this path fully is sacrifice. Alignment demands choices that feel unfair at times, letting go of opportunities that look good but feel wrong. saying no to relationships that feel familiar but misaligned. That kind of sacrifice requires trust that God sees what you release. You learned that trust through loss, and loss taught you that God always replaces what he removes with something more aligned, even if it takes time. Alignment also requires forgiveness, not because others deserve it, but because resentment blocks spiritual flow. You learn to forgive without reconciling prematurely. That wisdom is rare. Forgiveness freed you. Boundaries protected you. Many avoid forgiveness because it feels like surrender, but alignment is built on surrender. So if you ever feel different, alone, or misunderstood, remember this. Alignment separates before it connects. It clarifies before it expands. It quiets before it releases. You are not missing out. You are being positioned. And what God positions carefully, he protects fiercely. Now let us move forward with intention, because remaining aligned is not automatic. It requires awareness, discernment, and daily care. And that is what we must speak about next. How to remain aligned and protect the song within you. Chosen one, what God has entrusted to you is not fragile, but it is sacred. And sacred things are never handled casually. Alignment is not something you achieve once and then forget about. It is something you maintain quietly, daily, often invisibly. The song within you continues to live only when you protect the environment of your spirit. The first key to remaining aligned is stillness, not isolation for pain, but stillness for clarity. You already know this from experience. When your life becomes too loud, your spirit becomes tired. Noise blurs discernment. Stillness sharpens it. That is why God keeps drawing you back into quiet moments with him. Silence is not empty. It is instructional. You no longer need constant stimulation, endless conversation, or emotional drama to feel alive. In fact, those things drain you now. That shift is a sign of growth. Guard your stillness. Do not feel guilty for stepping back. Rest is not retreat. It is recalibration. Another way you protect alignment is by guarding what you allow into your mind. Not every message deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves your response. You are no longer required to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Discernment taught you that engagement is a form of agreement. Silence, at times, is wisdom. Your spirit is sensitive. That is a strength, not a weakness. But sensitivity requires boundaries. You cannot absorb every emotional atmosphere without consequence. Choose carefully what you listen to, what you watch, and who you give access to your inner world. Alignment weakens when your mind is cluttered with noise that does not serve your calling. You also protect the song within you by staying honest with God. Not polished prayers, honest ones. There will be days when you feel strong and clear. There will be days when you feel tired and unsure. God does not require performance. He requires truth. When you bring your full self to him, alignment resets naturally. One of the quickest ways people lose alignment is through self-neglect, disguised as sacrifice. You learned this the hard way. You gave too much. You carried burdens that were never assigned to you. You confused responsibility with overextension. God corrected that, not because you were wrong for caring, but because you were hurting yourself in the process. Now you understand this truth. Love without wisdom leads to depletion. Alignment requires stewardship of your energy. You are allowed to say no without guilt. You are allowed to rest without explanation. You are allowed to choose peace over chaos. Another vital protection is obedience in small things. Alignment is rarely lost through one major decision. It erodes through small compromises, ignoring inner conviction, rationalizing what feels wrong, staying silent when God asks you to move. The chosen ones remain aligned because they take small nudges seriously. You have felt that inner check before, that gentle pull, that quiet warning. Trust it. The more you honor it, the clearer it becomes. Alignment deepens when obedience becomes instinctive, not debated. Protecting the song within you also means releasing comparison. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to distort calling. Someone else's pace is not your assignment. Someone else's outcome is not your measurement. God does not mass-produce his chosen ones. He custom builds them. When you compare, you rush. When you rush, you move out of alignment. Stay in your lane. Your timing is intentional. Your process is necessary. What is meant for you will not bypass you. You also remain aligned by forgiving without reopening wounds. Forgiveness is release, not access. You have learned how to let go without reconnecting prematurely. That wisdom protects your heart. Resentment blocks spiritual flow, but so does overexposure to unhealed people. Forgiveness frees you. Boundaries protect you. Both are necessary. Another safeguard of alignment is discipline without rigidity. You have spiritual habits now: prayer, reflection, stillness. But you are not legalistic. You are relational. You follow God, not formulas. That flexibility keeps your spirit alive. When discipline turns into pressure, alignment suffers. God does not drive his chosen ones with fear. He leads them with peace. If something begins to feel forced, pause, ask, listen. Alignment often returns through gentleness, not intensity. You also protect the song by honoring seasons. There are seasons of movement and seasons of waiting, seasons of speaking and seasons of silence. When you try to harvest in a planting season, frustration follows. You have learned patience not as passivity, but as trust. Trust is alignment in motion. Let me speak to something you still face quietly. There will be moments when doubt whispers again, when old insecurities try to resurface. That does not mean you are misaligned. It means you are human. Alignment is not the absence of doubt. It is choosing obedience despite it. When doubt appears, do not panic. Return to stillness. Return to truth. Return to what God already confirmed in you. Another important protection is gratitude without attachment. You appreciate blessings without clinging to them. You enjoy good seasons without fearing their end. That balance keeps your heart free. Attachment creates anxiety. Gratitude creates peace. The song within you stays pure when your heart remains light. Finally, alignment is protected by humility that stays teachable. You have grown, you have clarity, but you remain open. You ask God to correct you. You listen before you assume. That humility is your shield. Many lose alignment when they confuse confidence with certainty. You did not fall into that trap. You stayed grounded, and that grounding keeps heaven's trust. So remember this, chosen one. You do not protect alignment through striving. You protect it through awareness, through rest, through obedience, through truth. The song within you does not need defending. It needs space. Space to breathe, space to grow, space to be guided by God, not rushed by the world. And as long as you remain aligned, that song will continue to shape lives, starting with your own. Conclusion. Your calling is confirmed. Chosen one, if you are still here, let me say this clearly and without hesitation. This message found you because your spirit was ready, not curious. Ready. God does not reveal deep truth to distracted hearts. He reveals it to those who have been prepared through obedience, endurance, and surrender. You are not imagining your calling. You are not late. You are not behind. And you are certainly not forgotten. Everything you walked through shaped you for what lies ahead. Every delay refined you. Every loss redirected you. Every season of silence trained you to hear God more clearly than ever before. The song within you is real. It is alive. And it carries power because it was formed through truth, not performance. You do not need to announce who you are. Your peace speaks. Your discernment speaks. Your consistency speaks. From this point forward, walk lighter. You no longer need to question the past or fear the future. God has already confirmed you through the process itself. Stay aligned, stay humble, stay obedient, and trust that what God is unfolding will make sense exactly when it needs to. Remember this: you were not chosen to be above others. You were chosen to serve with clarity, strength, and compassion. And heaven trusts you with that responsibility because you have proven faithful in the unseen. Before you go, chosen ones, give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, and share this message with other chosen ones who need confirmation today. And comment 777 to declare that you are aligned with God's divine calling and ready to walk fully in your assignment. Stay grounded, stay faithful, and never doubt this again. You were prepared for this.